Welcome to the Compliance 911 Show, a no-nonsense podcast discussing hot topics for today's busy compliance professional. It's everything you wanted to know about regulatory compliance, but we're afraid to ask. And now, here are your hosts, Dean Stockford of M&amp Consulting and Len Suzio of GeoDataVision.
Good morning, Dean. It's great to speak to you today on this bright, beautiful, sunny spring day. Thank goodness winter is finally coming to an end. So what great topic did you bring to the discussion today, Dean?
Hey, Len, great to see you as well. And yes, spring is in the air, so thank goodness for that. But I decided to play off from the last podcast we did on elder financial exploitation and talk about, quote, the silent epidemic, bank fraud.
That's a great topic. Fraud as a whole continues to be a very hot topic, and the losses are staggering. So enthusiastic about listening to what you have to say on this topic.
Yeah, well, I agree. With the recent spikes in scams, digital banking vulnerabilities, and AI-driven fraud, those things certainly motivated me to discuss the important topic in more detail.
Okay. So maybe I should ask the difficult question right out of the gate. What is bank fraud? How do you define it, Dean?
Well, that's kind of the million-dollar question, Len. And I think that is a good start. I'll provide what we call the general definition, but I think it's equally important to talk about the types of fraud we're seeing as well.
That sounds good. So take it away. I'm all ears.
All righty. Well, bank fraud is when a person uses illegal means to receive money or assets from a bank or a financial institution. It involves deceit with the intention to illegally or unethically gain at the expense of another. It can take on various forms, including false pretenses, representations, or even promises. And we're seeing upticks in certain areas like credit card fraud, phishing or vishing, synthetic identities, insider threats, and of course, mobile banking scams, to name a few, are on the rise. So lots going on.
So, Dean, do you have any numbers or can you quantify how much fraud has been going on?
Well, I don't really have any specific or perhaps numbers that are completely up to date. They're all over the place and there is no real single source to go find them. But I can tell you this, in 2023, a report by the FTC reported consumer losses of about $8.8 billion, which was a 30% increase from 2022. And the numbers I'm hearing now being tossed around for 24 are even greater than that. According to a 2022 FBI report, they received over 800,000 complaints on fraud-related losses of over $10.3 billion, which was about a $3.6 billion increase from the previous year. So you can see that they're trending in the wrong direction. And fraud, extends way beyond the U.S. In fact, the EU central bank reported a 40% increase year over year, but they stopped short of quantifying it in dollars. But I can tell you this, it's well into the billions.
Wow. That is astonishing. Do you have any insight regarding the types of fraud or devices used to perpetuate these crimes?
Yeah, great questions. And I do have a little bit, of course, it's kind of a moving target, but there are go-tos, what I call go-tos for the fraudsters themselves or criminal activity. But I have a little detail from the various reporting that I've gathered and read online, but it appears credit card fraud continues to be number one. And you can see why. It's because everybody uses it. Visa actually reported more than $28 billion in losses in 2022. And I believe that's up around 40 billion, almost double today from 2022. So a very short period of time. The other area growing in popularity with scammers is vishing or phishing scams. And according to the FBI report, we saw a jump of more than 15% just in 1 year from 21 to 22. And it's more than $3 billion today as far as the phishing and the vishing scams. Other areas, of concern is fraudulent account takeover, which has seen huge increases. And according to recent ABA data, takeovers increased about 72% in 1 year from 20 to 21. And it's my understanding that it's up over 35% from 22 to 24. So we're talking about some significant losses in these categories.
I could say those numbers are impressive, but for all the wrong reasons, of course.
That's a fact, Len. Trust me, there are much more, but we continue to see scams in the various areas. And I think, it's important for people to understand where these things are occurring. Mobile banking, SIM swap scams, taking control of phone number access accounts. That's a newer one. Digital and online banking, synthetic identity fraud, which combines fake and real information to create new artificial identities. And, again, with artificial intelligence and the amount of information that's out there in the digital space, these fraudsters are able to create almost a mirror image of who you are and what your credentials are, or in order to access credentials to get into banking accounts. Insider threats, that's hasn't gone away, obviously, with inflationary things and people having struggling, I should say. Employees that decide that they want to manipulate various accounts or embezzle funds, or they even assist in certain cases outside actors. They're being paid by the outside actors to infiltrate certain information. And then, of course, post-pandemic fraud. We did see a lot of fraud relative to stimulus checks or scams that are tied to financial relief. And, even though the pandemic has come and gone to some degree, we're still seeing fraudulent activity that's similar to these types of activities. So these are just a few, but as with anything, we need to be guarded given the steep increase in fraudulent activities.
Dean, as I mentioned, I'm stunned by the numbers, and this is a horrible trend for sure. So what can institutions do to mitigate their risk of being exposed to fraud?
Well, I mean, it's again another great question, but institutions need to invest in controls. I mean, fraud controls specifically, things like multi-factor authentication, MFA, one-time passwords, biometric authentication, or even hardware tokens, AI and machine learning fraud detection systems to monitor transaction activity using predictive analytics and risk scoring, advanced encryption and secure protocols, end-to-end encryption, TLS and SSL or tokenization. Those are all real important levels of security and encryption that can help with the access. Behavioral analytics, login times, geolocation tracking and typing patterns. I mean, we can look at where people are, what time they're going online, how long they're staying there, where are they accessing it from. Secure access device authentication, which is device fingerprinting or geofencing, IP address verification, and making sure that you verified before you click. Strong customer education and awareness. And again, I think this is front and center, and everybody has an obligation to regularly train not only your staffs, but also customers to make them aware of the types of fraudulent activities or things that we're seeing out in the industry. Fraud monitoring and alerts. I mean, we do that now through BSA, AML related systems, but we got to get better at it. Transaction alerts, fraud alerts. We need to monitor these types of behaviors so that we can head off when somebody's deviated from the norm. Identity verification systems, so know your customer, digital ID verification or two-step verification at account setup, things that, again, tighten the controls around who the person may be or say they are. Secure payment methods, 3D secure authentication, process adds extra layer of verification during the online card payment in cryptocurrency and blockchain. Those are all secure payment methods that would help improve the likelihood of fraud. Legal and regulatory, of course, we have, anti-money laundering and in fraud regulatory areas. So I would encourage people to collaborate with law enforcement and other industry bodies. And then, regular software or system updates. So, those are things that sound so normal, but oftentimes people, close down their laptops or don't follow through with regular system updates and patches, which could help head off any type of fraudulent activity or phishing or vishing type scams. By employing a combination of these fraud mitigation techniques, I think that financial institutions can build a strong defense against the evolving landscape of fraud. So I strongly encourage folks to adhere to these things and especially look into them. These methods can be tailored, too, to the specific needs of the bank or financial institution, depending on their overall risk profile, customer base, technological infrastructure, and, of course, their appetite for risk within the institution themselves. So, I could go on and on and on all day long, especially when we start talking about fraud, Len, but I think that would take us probably another week or so.
Oh, please. There's no end to the ingenuity of fraudsters, I'll tell you that.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Well, this has been another great and timely, although scary topic today. I want to thank you on behalf of the audience for your invaluable and informative comments today, Dean. This is Len Suzio with GeoDataVision.
And this is Dean Stockford from M&amp Consulting saying thank you for tuning in to today's discussion. And please let us know of any additional topics you'd like to hear in future episodes.
Thanks for listening to the Compliance 911 Show. If you like the podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. While you're at it, please give us a like and review to help others find the show. As always, links are in the show notes, and you can always find us online at compliance911show.com. Follow M&amp Consulting and GeoDataVision on LinkedIn for all the latest news and information on compliance hot topics.